it's that, and then they further then accuse me as being the spokesperson that's lying for the government and hiding all of this information and all the material. And the fact of the matter is, the research and the evidence and the data that we have uncovered is all been compiled into this historical report, volume 1, which I had finished up before I retired and is being delivered to Congress and to the public. And it goes through everything to very high level of detail.
Kirkpatrick says a lot of the conspiratorial thinking about UFOs gets spawned by people catching glimpses of highly secret US aircraft or programs and wanting answers. And when the government doesn't provide any answers, the public imagination takes over.
There is a lot of observations of real advanced US programs, but none of that is extraterrestrial in nature.
Instead, they were programs the US government wanted to keep secret. That's what Kirkpatrick says happened with the Roswell incident. If you're not familiar, the Roswell story began back in 1947 with a US military news release about a flying saucer that had crashed near Roswell Army Airfield in New Mexico. The military later retracted the story and said it was a weather balloon. But the incident spawned rumors about alien bodies being recovered from the wreckage, conspiracy theories about a US government cover-up, and a whole bunch of books and sci-fi movies and X-File episodes, and 3 seasons of a TV show about millennial alien teenagers.
You're not an alien, I mean... Are you?
I prefer the term not of this earth.
Kirkpatrick says his office dug deep into Roswell, and you need to understand that back in the late 40s and 50s, there were a lot of strange things happening near the Roswell airfield. There was a top-secret spy program called Mogul, which launched long strings of oddly shaped metallic spy balloons into the air. At the same time, the US military was conducting tests with other high-altitude balloons that were carrying human dummies. And there was at least 1 military plane crash with 11 fatalities. Kirkpatrick and his team at Arrow concluded that crash Mogul balloons, the recovery operations to retrieve downed test dummies, and glimpses of the aftermath of that real plane crash likely combined into a single narrative, a narrative matching the mood of the country at that moment.
You have new aviation for the people that have never seen an aircraft before. What does that mean? What's it doing? But there was also this fear coming out of World War II, and everybody's still raw from the war, and there's lots of technological issues that people are trying to wrap their minds around, and that affected a lot of what people saw and how they reported. I think the same thing is true today.
And Kirkpatrick thinks that new technology taking flight in our especially anxious times can help explain a lot of the modern era of UFO sightings from the early 2000s on. He says these things could be advanced technology that the US government needs to keep secret, or aircraft that rival nations are using to spy on the US, or maybe even benign civilian drones or balloons. And he says all of this is a national security concern, even the balloons.
The biggest risk is stuff that is in the air that we don't know is there. And why don't we know it's there? Because it's not something we would track. Balloons are one of the biggest hazards right now, and it's growing. There's something like 10,000 balloons launched daily. Everything from weather balloons to just party balloons that have escaped. One of my favorite things is there's this company in Florida. They make these backyard lighting balloons. Some of them are round, some of them are tic-tac shaped, and they're black on the top, and inside they have lights, and they're helium filled, and they're strapped down in people's backyards for backyard parties, and they get away. When we talk to the company, they're like, yeah, we lose them, and we sometimes find them again, but generally not. Well, that's a really weird looking thing, lit from the bottom, not lit on the top, big tic tac thing flying around. Well, what is that? That kind of stuff is a flight hazard. So, on the one hand, I've got military pilots that are flying at greater than Mach 1. If they run into a balloon with a tether on it, it's going to rip a wing off. That's a problem. But on the other hand, if I'm a commercial airline, you get one of those sucked into an engine, and that's not going to be good.
When you were in the office, a huge news story was the Chinese balloon story, which brought to the public that clearly there's a national security interest in the United States understanding what might be flying around that we haven't identified.
That's right. The office's mission is not to prove the existence of extraterrestrials. The office's mission is to minimize technical and intelligence surprise. That is the primary mission.